Awesome. So it looks like we have both streams up and running. Um, hmm. Why is everything so quiet? Hopefully this is better. Okay, looks like that's doing better now. Awesome. Uh, so yeah. Um, oh, I forgot. I need to do some kind of like subscribe to my YouTube thing. Where do I put that? What do we do? Oh yeah, I need to open up the fucking guest queue. Jesus Christ. Um, hey, thanks for the support, Bradley Cooper. Appreciate you. Um, okay. Oh yeah, I was gonna try to do something. Okay. Uh, yeah. So, yeah, I'm just kind of doing some maintenance stuff here. Uh, hey, Broken Tree Branch. Thank you for the support. You're awesome. Oh yeah, it's fucking Father's Day today. You guys think should I text my dad? All right, so we'll see if we can have some good conversations. Oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna uh oh yeah, okay, so that's fine, that's fine. What are we gonna do? We're gonna do one of those, and then we'll do one of these. Um, I don't know how to what do I do? Do I like move this like that, and then do like one of these, and just like hope that that's good? Fine, fair enough. Oh, but then that's just gonna show. I don't like that at all. I don't like it. I don't like it. All right, whatever. Okay, we're going to try to do debates. All right, so if you are 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God, feel free to request up. I do want to, as has kind of been recommended, a good recommendation as well, um, is go check out my YouTube. It's just Ogar Debates over there, just like it is here on TikTok. Um, but yeah, if you are 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence, feel free to request up. We'll see what kinds of conversations we can have tonight. Uh, Hi, Jelly. How old are you?
What's going on, man?
Hi, how old are you?
I am in my 30s.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like, what do you believe in? That's my question. Can I ask you a couple questions? What do you believe in?
I always ask the same few questions when I start, just to kind of make sure that I know where you're at and what we're talking about. Do you believe in a God?
Yeah, of course. There
Okay.
has to be a God.
Yeah, which one do you believe in?
Which one? Oh, there's multiple, right? I don't know, just the one, the creator, the one that created everything.
Okay. So you don't follow like a religion?
A religion? I mean, I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, yeah,
They're all,
sure.
they're
So
all, I don't want to
if you can't just
discriminate a
give
religion.
me
You know, if
if
I
you can't
follow
just give
one,
me an honest answer about what you believe, then obviously
yeah,
you're not
just God. I
capable
believe
to
in
have a
God,
good
100%.
conversation. So you could just tell me. You could just say, "This is what I believe God is," or "This is what I believe about God." If you can't say that, then obviously you're not capable of having an honest, you know, good faith conversation.
But how are you going to say that? How are
All right,
you going
fair
to say
enough.
that? When you don't believe.
All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus, that you can actually respond to simple questions straightforwardly. and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification for your God belief. Hi, Angel. How old are you?
Hello, I am 30.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I do.
Okay. Which one?
I mean, the Christian God.
Okay, cool. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I mean, a lot of non believers admit that there is, a higher power, right?
No, because then they would believe.
Okay.
So you're saying that not a lot of non-believers are believers, or you're just contradicting yourself?
Okay, fair. So, what I was saying is, they believe that there is a higher power.
No, because then they would be believers, not non-believers. You can't define someone as a non-believer and then say that they're a believer. Like, what are we even talking about?
Okay. So, you think that
No, what's the best
God
argument or
is
evidence that would provide
fiction?
rational justification to believe in a God?
He has answered my prayers.
How do you know that it was God answering your prayers?
I think that comes with having a prayer life.
That doesn't answer my
God.
question. I understand that you believe that it was God answering your prayers. How did you confirm that it actually was?
How do I confirm it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I can't explain because it's
Okay,
a spiritual thing, right?
Okay, so you didn't actually confirm that it was God. You just took it to be God, even though you don't have a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's irrational, like the very definition, because you're saying that you believe it without reason. Being rational is to believe things with reason. So obviously, the opposite of rational is irrational. Believing things without reason is irrational. So you're literally defining yourself as irrational right now. Do you think that being irrational is the best way to, have true beliefs and understand the world around you correctly?
I don't think irrational or rational has anything to do with my belief in Jesus Christ himself, who
You
saved
just
you,
defined your belief as
everyone.
irrational. So yes, it does have to do with your
Died
belief
on the
because
cross
it's
for your
it's
sins.
the accurate description of your belief state. So what do you think, because you have acknowledged that your belief is irrational, or if you, at least you've defined it as such, even if you want to pretend that it's not, since you've defined your belief as irrational, I think it's
When did I
important to
pretend
so you
about
don't
anything?
okay, so you're not capable of having a conversation?
Wait, what did I even say that triggered
Well,
you?
I mean, I was in the middle of talking, trying to move the conversation forward, and you interrupted me.
Okay, sorry. I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay, well, if you treat me with respect, I will treat you with respect. If you act like a douche, I'll treat you accordingly. So, what I'm trying to do here is have a direct, honest, linear conversation about whether or not there's justification to believe in a God. So far, what you've said is that you believe in God because of, answers to prayers. I asked how you confirmed that it was God who answered your prayers. You said you aren't able to confirm that. You don't actually have a reason to believe it was God answering your prayers. You just believe it anyway. I'm saying that that is the very definition of an irrational belief. And I'm trying to clarify with you if you think that being irrational is a reliable way to land on true conclusions, that will help you understand the way the world actually works and your place in it.
Wait, can I talk now?
That was a question, so I would like you to answer the question, please.
Okay. So, yeah, my answer is of the spiritual realm, like that I have
This isn't.
a
What
prayer life.
question do you think you're responding to right now?
The one that you just asked.
Yeah, what was my question that I asked you?
You asked me, like, what is my proof?
Nope. I didn't ask anything like that.
Okay.
What
So
was the last question that I just asked you when I got done talking? I
I
just
thought
talked a
you're
whole bunch, and I finished when I was talking with a question. What was
so
that
you
question?
can interrupt. You can interrupt, right? But
Yeah, because you're being rude by
I'm
ignoring
being
me while I'm
rude.
talking, by interrupting me and while I'm talking, and then ignoring me while I'm talking. And then when I ask you a
I'm
question, you don't even pay
ignoring you.
attention to the question that you. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, if you don't want to have a conversation, that's fine. I can totally just move on. Yeah, we'll go ahead. Mm, defined her belief as irrational. Okay, so if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Oh, damn, I was just going to bring up Flexo and he left. That's too bad. Hopefully he'll come back. All right. Hi, Marty. How old are you?
40.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Absolutely.
Cool. Which one?
I'm Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And which one is, I mean, is translation. Everybody believe the higher power. When you say which one, there's only one God in any religion.
Yeah, but different religions believe in different gods. The God of the Muslims is not the same as the God of the Christians, which is not the same as the God of the Jews, which is not the same as the gods of Hindu religion, which is not the same as the gods of the North American or native tribe religions, which aren't the same as the gods of the African tribal religions, which aren't, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different
I'm
religions out
African
there.
and I'm Christian.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know what
fine.
that
So,
is.
yeah, but you don't believe in the tribal gods that I just referred to. You believe in the Christian God. And obviously, all those gods are different gods. So, when you say you believe in a God, and I ask which God, that's what I'm talking about. There are lots of
I
different gods
believe
who've been purported to exist. I'm just asking, of all of the gods that people have said exist, which is the one that you believe in? You said it was Christian, so we can move
Christianity.
on.
Yes.
Yeah, so we should be
Okay.
able to move on from that. I don't know why
Yeah.
you had to make it
Okay.
into a whole thing. So, what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
That I walk with power.
I
I
don't know what
came
that means.
from a spirit.
I
The
don't know what you're
spirit set
talking
over my
about.
life.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
You just asked me what the irrational, what evidence that I have.
Mm-hmm.
My own spirit. I don't even.
Yeah, I don't
I
know what
came
that
from
means.
religious background.
I don't know what you're
Listen.
saying.
Okay, I mean, you said that the girl before me, you were cutting your hair off. You're doing the same thing. If you ask,
Yeah, I'm
I'm just
asking
saying
you a question, and then your response isn't answering my question
my
in a way that I can
rationale.
understand.
You
Okay, hold
believe.
on, Marty. Hold on. I asked you a question, and you did try to answer, but what you said was something that I don't know what you mean. And so instead of you going off and continuing to talk and say stuff that I don't understand, I wanted to cut you off right away so that I could get clarification on what the thing is that you're talking about so that I can understand what you're saying. Because we can't have a good, honest conversation if we don't understand what each other are saying. And so if I don't understand something, the only reasonable thing I can do, if I want to actually understand what you're saying, is to ask you to clarify what you're saying so that we can actually have this conversation. Can you clarify what you mean by walking with power and the spirit stuff that you're talking about? What does that mean?
Yeah, because I can be absolutely empty and alone, and there's God that beside me, and I know I'll be okay. Again, I have parents, I have sibling, but I can feel absolutely disconnected from them. But I know that there's the higher power always. My family internally, I am at peace because of that belief that I have inside me. Whether you like it or not, God is the king of this world. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
So what I'm hearing from you,
Appreciating.
Marty, what I'm hearing from you is that you believe in God because you believe in God, and because you believe in God, you have all these other
No,
experiences that based on your
I mean,
belief in
what kind
God.
of evidence
But
you
why
want
would
me
you
to give
believe in
you?
God in the first place?
Because that's what I exist on. Period. I don't argue. Actually, I from my background, I don't. We don't make you believe something that's if you don't believe you
Okay,
keep
so
going
this
and
has
I keep
nothing to
going on my
do.
way.
Do you know what
Good.
question you're supposed to be answering right now?
I just told you. Even your question, I came on to
Yeah, what is the
actually to
question that
turn
you're
the
supposed to
question
be
to
answering
you.
right now?
I just told you. You don't accept my
Okay, so
answer.
what was the question?
Walking with a spirit, being a
No,
spiritual,
so what
being
was the question that I
at
asked you that you're
peace.
supposed to be answering right now?
You can't turn it outside argument. I don't. I like I said, I'm
Okay, so
not
you're just not
in.
paying attention to anything that I'm saying? Because we can't have a conversation if
What
you're not
did you
going to
say?
listen to
Go
me.
ahead. Go ahead. What did you say? What
Are
did you say? You didn't say anything.
I asked you a question, and then you tried to respond, but your response had nothing to do with the question that I asked you. So then I tried to clarify if you even paid attention to what question I asked
Go
you,
ahead and
and now it sounds like you weren't paying
ask me
attention. And now I'm trying to
the
recap the situation to
You're
you to
doing the
bring you
same
up to
thing you
speed
did
so
to
that
the
we're on the
other
same
girl.
page. And all you're doing is talking over me. I don't know how we can have a good conversation if you're not going to listen to me when I talk, and then when I try to explain what you missed, you talk over me. Like, how are we going to have a conversation under those
Okay,
conditions?
go on and
And then you just did it again.
let me
You
listen what
literally
I
just
said.
did it again. You're continuing to do it. Every time I talk, instead of listening to me, you're either ignoring me or talking over me. Do you think that that's a good way to have a productive, fruitful conversation?
This is social media. I mean, you might overheard my voice, but I would love to hear
Okay, fair
where.
enough. So it doesn't sound like you want to actually engage. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you are 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I have no idea what your name is. Ramon or something? I have no idea.
Raven.
Raven?
Yeah.
I oh, fair enough. Do you how old are you?
I'm 44.
Okay. And do you believe in a God?
I do not,
Oh, okay. Well,
but I
just
do have a third opinion.
okay. Well, I'm just doing debates with people who do believe in God. So I hope you have a
Okay.
good one, Raven. Hi, Angel. How old are you?
Hi, 29.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I do.
Okay. And which one?
The one in the sky,
Okay. You
the
you
one in
realize that that doesn't
existence,
you realize that that doesn't
the
tell me.
one in the universe.
Okay. You realize that that doesn't tell me what you believe, right?
I believe more spiritually than systematic religion.
That also doesn't tell me what you believe. What God do you believe in? Like, does it have a name? Does it have a book associated with it? A religion? Is it just like a generic mind that created the universe? I mean, you can just, I don't know why I have to ask so many questions and you can't just tell me what you believe in. Like, why is it so difficult?
You have to ask so many questions because you are asking me something that's vague that
I'm
I'm
not
telling
asking
you
you
the
something
answer
vague.
to.
I'm asking you to specifically
The
which God that you
answer,
believe in, and you
the
can either answer
answer is
that question
that
or you
I
can't.
believe in
So I'll
God.
ask you one more time, and if you
Texas
aren't
is
able to
good.
answer the question,
They
I'll simply
ask me
move on.
nothing.
What God do you believe in?
I believe in the God of the spirit that created everything in the universe, you, me, and nature.
Okay, so it's like a immaterial mind that created and sustains the universe.
Yes, you can say that in a way.
Okay. I don't know why we couldn't just start there. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Everything in life is created by something, and we have stars, moon, sky, air, the ocean, fish,
When you
living
say
civilization
when you say created, what do you mean?
made.
Yeah, I'm sorry. First off, is there anything you can do about the like echo? It sounds like I'm like being repeated back to myself, like from underwater or something. Oh, maybe it's gone away now. I don't know.
No,
Yeah, it
I'm
keeps like
sorry.
I don't know if you have headphones or anything like that. Anyway, so you when you say created, you just mean made, but I also don't know what you mean by that. Like, are you saying when you say created or made, are you referring to something like a process that was done with intent, or would your definition of created include like unguided processes that were just like governed by natural laws without a god or anybody or any intelligence involved?
I mean, everything is intentional.
Okay.
So everything that was made and created was intentional.
Okay.
Yes.
So would um, I'm going to propose a definition for created the way you're using it, and you tell me if I've got it right. If I am wrong, then obviously, like, I'll try to get closer to what you really mean, because that's what I'm trying to do is just understand what you really mean. When you're saying created, you mean something like intentionally brought into existence. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. And you're saying that everything that exists in the universe was intentionally brought into existence?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I don't agree. Why should I believe you? Why should I agree with you?
Because everything has a purpose. If you use the ocean houses fish, right? So that's their habitat, that's their home. In order for you to say that everything does not have an intention, you will have to take the purpose away from everything, but everything does have a purpose.
So my issue with the way that you're using purpose there is that it sounds like you're trying to say something meaningful along the lines of like, um, like somebody determined that the somebody determined that the ocean would exist so that it could be home for sea life or whatever. But my concern here is that like it seems like just saying that this is a function this thing serves with the way that existence is right now. I don't know that just saying that it serves some kind of function in a larger system. I don't know that we can automatically conclude that that means that there was intention involved in it bringing it into existence. And what I mean by that is like if there's like a pothole in a parking lot and then it rains, that the water is going to fill up the pothole. And so now we're going to say like, okay, like that water or that pothole is serving the purpose of holding the water that is in it. But I don't think that that means that we have to conclude just because it's like serving some function in this system. I don't think that that means that we should conclude that the pothole was intentionally put there. The pothole could have come along, like for example, where I live in the northern Midwest, the winters get really cold and the temperature goes up and down. So what happens is water melts, seeps into the ground, then it freezes and expands and it cracks all the roads, and that's where potholes come from. I don't see any reason to think that just because after a pothole is created from an unguided natural process like that, and then it serves some purpose like holding water in it, I don't see why I should then retroactively go back and say that the pothole must have been brought into existence intentionally. Does that make sense?
No, not really. The reason is because a pothole is man-made and a pothole is made because we overuse something.
No.
Rain is a natural, yes,
No, I just
whatever
explained to
it
you how
was
potholes
a
come into existence where I live.
discrepancy
I just explained to you one of the main ways that potholes come into existence where I live.
because of winter.
Yeah, because of the water, or excuse me, snow melting and then freezing and then melting and then freezing over and over again. It melts and then gets into cracks in the concrete or the pavement or whatever. And then when the temperature drops again and it freezes, it expands and widens those cracks out. And then you get all this like broken pavement and concrete and stuff. And then as cars drive over it, it loosens and pieces come out and then you end up with a pothole, right? Like this is just like a normal, unguided process that doesn't seem to have any intelligence behind it. And you're saying because
Okay,
there is some
this
function,
is,
like we could say that,
hold
the
on, wait.
potholes serve the function of wrecking the cars of the people who don't see them. But that doesn't mean that they must have been created with intention just because they like interact with other things.
The problem is, though, is that the people that build roads are people. Systems of weather are from God. So the way that something is built and how it can be destroyed based on a higher system cannot be used in a determinate fact to show the purpose for a pothole.
Okay, I feel like maybe I did a bad job of explaining what I was trying to get at. So you were saying the reason that we should think that everything was created was because everything has a purpose, and your example for how everything has a purpose is, that the ocean exists and fish live in it. My contention would be that the reason fish live in the ocean is because the ocean existed and it was a place where life could flourish, and so living organisms took advantage of that environment where they had the opportunity to flourish, and they did, right? Like that's just what life does. Hey, thanks, Bootman Jones. Anyway, so that's just what life does. It looks for ecological niches that it can fill so that it can flourish and it can it's each member of the population can try to create new offspring, right? Like that's just what life does. So even if the earth was created or brought into existence with no purpose, and the oceans were brought into existence with no purpose, organisms were brought into existence with no purpose by an unguided evolutionary process, it would still be the case that the ocean would exist and that fish would live there. So what I'm saying is that I don't see how you're getting from the ocean existing and fish being in it to there being a purpose for it and then subsequently for there being intentional creation.
I'm not understanding because in order for the fish to live, they need the ocean. So you cannot have one without the other.
No, you
So
can't
how
have the
could it
ocean
not
without
have a
fish.
purpose?
Yeah, you can have the ocean
How can
without fish.
you can have certain oceans without fish, but in their habitat, they live in oceans.
Right, but the
So
ocean
what I'm
existed
saying
before fish
is,
existed, Angel. The ocean existed
and
long before.
then and
Angel,
then
Angel,
and then
excuse me.
fish
Hello.
came into
I don't know if you're
existence
just
to
unable to
live
hear
there,
me.
right?
Hello, can you hear me? I'm trying to talk. So I'm trying to explain to you that the ocean did exist long before fish came into existence. So when you said we can't have one without the other, that was just false, right? You could have the ocean without any fish. And now if life comes into existence, let's say that there is, an unguided naturalistic process where life comes into existence and then begins to evolve, we would expect under that situation that life would spread out across the planet in as many places that it can. And one of the places that it was able to spread and to thrive was in the ocean. So, yes, the ocean existed without fish, and with an unguided process, we would still expect fish to be in the ocean. So, again, I'm not seeing the connection between the ocean existing and fish
How
being
long
there
did
with
okay,
God.
I have a question for you. How long did the ocean exist without fish?
Oh, I mean, I don't know exactly how long the Earth existed before life started. I would assume, I think it was less than a billion years, but I could be wrong. When did the first fish come into? When did the first fish evolve on Earth? Um, Around the first fish evolved 530 million years ago. So I was just thinking about when life started, not when fish started. So what I said before about it being a billion years after there's created, that was really stupid. And everybody just got to see me say something really stupid. So you're welcome, everybody. Yeah. Anyway, so the first fish evolved around 530 million years ago. The Earth is about 4.8 billion years old. So that means that there were 4.3 billion years of ocean with no fish. So for 4.3 billion years of the Earth's history, the ocean existed without any fish, and then for the last roughly half a billion years, there have been fish in the ocean. So yeah, the normal state of existence on this planet was ocean with no fish. It's only been in the last,
Yes.
what would we say if we said, uh, if we just try to pull up a calculator and we say 530 million divided by 4.8 billion. So it's only been about 11% of the Earth's history. So for 89% of the Earth's history, the oceans existed without fish.
Okay. The thing is, right? You don't start living in a house before you buy it. So what I'm saying is, in order for a habitat to be livable, it has to make itself however you feel like that process is. For us, our process is God. You have to prepare. It's kind of like when a baby is born.
It sounds
When
like you're
the
just
when you know
assuming
that
that
you're
a God
pregnant,
exists. So, Angel, it sounds like you're
when
just assuming that
okay,
a God
I'm
exists.
not assuming, but I'm
Yes, that's
telling
what's
you this
happening
is
right
just
now.
common sense.
No, what you're
Let's
doing is you're
let's
saying
say
because
let's let's say
Angel,
no,
Angel.
I'm going with you
Okay,
wherever
hold
you
on a
think it
second.
come from.
Okay, I need you to hold on for a second. So I'm not asking you to say, if God exists, how do you explain this? Because that's what you're doing right now. You're saying, if God exists, this is how I would explain what we see with, the ocean and fish and blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're supposed to be talking about is, why should we think God exists in the first place? So what you need to be saying and what you need to explain to me is how it's not possible for the ocean to exist and for fish to be in the ocean without God existing. That's what you need to be explaining. Can you explain that?
Okay, so this is kind of hard for me because it's something that's like literal common sense. But what I'm gonna say is, even if the fish didn't exist inside the ocean still exists for a purpose. Who created the ocean if it was not God?
Well, I just don't think that it was created, right? Like, not under the way that you're using the word created.
So what do you think?
I think it came into existence as a result of unguided natural processes.
Explain to me that more.
Sure. So, um, when when stars explode, they spew out all kinds of different, elements, um, across the galaxy that they're in, right, or the area of the galaxy that they're in, And then, so there would have been like nebula, things like that that existed. There was some nebula, billions of years ago in the Milky Way that eventually things started coalescing because of gravity. It formed what's called an accretion disk, where there's like basically like this big disk of like circling stuff. And the biggest mass of circling stuff was in the middle, and that's where everything, a whole bunch of stuff condensed, and it formed a star that is our sun. And then other parts of the accretion disk started also coalescing and coming together because of gravity, and then forming these big balls of matter that became the planets and their moons. And then so one of those balls was the Earth. Due to some cataclysmic event in the past, something hit Earth and that created the moon, and then that's how the Earth and the moon were created. And then over time, through natural processes, with there already being some water on Earth, and then meteors and asteroids crashing into the Earth and bringing more ice, bring more water to the planet. It seems like that's part of where some of the ocean water came from. Eventually, there was a lot of water on the planet, and as water always does, it seeks, the lowest point, low being, closest to the center of the Earth. So gravity pulled the water down, and it settled in all the lowest points, and that is what created oceans, right? Because obviously the surface of the Earth is, goes up, it's variable. It's not all flat, right? So the water is just going to settle into the lowest points, and that's what the oceans are. Anything that is high enough to be above the surface stays land, right? So it's just, oh, okay. I guess she didn't want to continue the conversation. Fair enough. Um, um, everything has a purpose. Okay. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Before I bring up the next person, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for the support. Bradley Cooper, Broken Tree Branch, Angry Neeson, Arrow 404, ZZ's Closet. That would, for some reason, took me way more effort to read than it should have. Trick 70, ZZ Closet again, Bradley N. KC, thank you. You're always supporting, and I sincerely appreciate you, KC. I do notice it, and I thank you very much. Poopman Jones, same thing to you, man. I mean, you have supported me so much, and I cannot thank you enough for that. Thank you. SciTech Nature, again, someone who's here so often supporting. I could say that about everybody. Bradley Cooper, Broken Tree Branch, Angry Neeson, Error 404. I see you guys here all the time supporting, and I do sincerely appreciate it. Hi Bear, again. Slice, again. Just people who are here pretty frequently supporting, and I don't know how to say how much I appreciate it. When I started doing this, I did not expect to have any kind of audience or to get any support from anybody. I barely thought that I would even get guests to talk to. So I'm blown away by the amount of the support that you guys have sent. So thank you so much. And for the people who aren't supporting and like sending gifts and stuff, thank you for being here also. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing, that kind of stuff. For interacting in the comments, having conversations. I sincerely appreciate you all. Anyway, enough glazing the audience. You guys don't need it. Oh, thanks, JX. Appreciate the support from you as well. Okay, so we'll move on to the next person. Like I said, just looking for folks who are 18 plus and actually have some argument or evidence for theism. Hi, Brian. Have we spoken before? Oh, you're off the app. Hi, Brian. Have we spoken before?
No, sir.
Oh, I thought I recognized your name.
Yeah, it's a very common name.
Well, the bricked by part. I thought I had. Yeah, but clearly I'm just making shit
okay.
up.
No, you're good. You're good.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay. And do you believe in a God?
I do, yes, sir. I believe in Jesus Christ. I feel like my argument, just to like kind of get straight into it, I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to argue. I just want
Are you driving?
Have an actual conversation.
Are you driving?
Maybe.
Okay. Unfortunately, it's against TikTok terms of service, and I want my live taken down. Can you come back when you're not driving?
Okay, Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No worries.
I do want to talk to you. You seem like somebody I want to talk to. So please do come back if you get the chance.
Yeah, I'm like 2 minutes from my house. I'll just queue again.
Okay, cool. If I see you, I'll bring you up. Thank you. That seemed like somebody who actually wanted to have the conversation. So I'm sorry to have to drop him down, but just trying to follow TOS. Okay. I will come back. Okay. Let me double check one thing really quick here. Okay, we got that, and then we got all right, so if you're in the guest queue, please make sure that you're 18 plus. You have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God. And this is very important. Let's make sure that it is not about personal experience, okay? No personal experience. All right. Hi, Truth Dog. Do you have something other than personal experience for me this time?
Yeah, I'm wondering, can life be created without water?
I have no idea. I'm not a biologist or a
Right.
chemist.
So the earth was created first before water was here?
Oh, I assume that there was probably some water here, but I don't know. Like I'm also not a cosmologist. I don't study like the origins of the earth. I have like a basic bitch understanding of how accretion disks work, how gravity works, how stars and planets and solar systems form. Like I have just like the really low level, high school level understanding of that stuff. That's all I was talking about before. Not making claims to have some like authoritative stance or educated position on this. I just was saying like this is the generally accepted explanation for how the earth came into existence. I don't know that I got everything correct. I'm just saying that we seem to have explanations that don't involve any intention. But do you have any argument or evidence for why it's rational to believe in a God?
Yeah, well, I have personal experience, but I'm not going to get into that. Fish eat eggs, right? They'll eat other fish's eggs, and so how could fish exist if they eat their building block?
I don't know what you're talking about. Lots of creatures eat the eggs of other animals. There are creatures that eat their own children, like male polar bears will try to eat their own cubs. So the mother polar bears have to keep the father polar bears away so that they don't kill and eat their own cubs. Like this is just like a thing that happens in nature. I am also, again, not like a biologist. I'm not like an animal behaviorist. I don't know why you're asking me those kinds of questions. I'm just asking if you have some kind of justification for a God belief. If not, I can just move on to the next person.
Yeah, I was wondering how God could prevent things from being ate up, like have natural instincts not to, you take care of your children.
Okay, so it sounds like you don't have any argument.
Right, I don't.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate you at least being honest this time and not being an asshole for once. So thanks for that, and I hope you have a good one. Hopefully that continues if he comes back. Okay. All right, Brian.
Hello.
All right. What have you got for me?
So, my real only stance on the argument would be I believe life comes from life. And I believe because of the evidence that I've seen throughout my whole life, which is a short life, but, also the people that have come before us, life comes from life.
I don't think that you believe that.
I
think that that's just like a platitude or like a, just like a saying that Christians like to say. But I don't think Christians actually believe that. Because in order to say that life only comes from life, you would have to be able to define God as being alive. And as far as I know, and maybe you can tell me how I'm wrong here, but as far as I know, there is no definition of life that would apply to God, all other living things, and no non-living things. And if we don't have that type of definition, then we can't call God alive. And if God isn't alive, but life came from God, then obviously your view would be that life came from non-life. So I think we both believe that life came from non-life. We just have different conceptions of the non-life that life came from.
I see. Okay, no, I completely understand what you're saying. I feel like, okay, I guess I can kind of shift it in a way where I feel like life comes from consciousness. Like consciousness comes from consciousness, I would say.
I don't think that that's true. I mean, like a
Yeah.
really easy way to see that is like, for example, like sperm and eggs, like human sperm, human eggs, neither are conscious, neither have any sort of consciousness. When they come together and then they, form a zygote in the early stages of fetal development, there is no consciousness, and there's no reason to think that there's even like. Here's a good question. Maybe we'll give it a
Uh-huh.
goog. When does
Yeah.
consciousness develop in babies?
Ooh,
Well,
that's a
babies
good
might not
one.
be the right word. 24 to 26 weeks of gestation, but babies don't begin actively, deliberately experiencing and engaging with their environment until 2 to 5 months after birth.
Oh, so like there's like nothing there. They're just brainwaves. Or
Right.
maybe
So
not
like they
even.
may have like some kind of neural activity, but it doesn't seem that they have like consciousness proper. At minimum, they don't have any form of consciousness or anything appropriate that we could even analogize to consciousness for at least 24 plus weeks, right? So like there's
Okay.
obviously like a huge stage of development where what the parents have created is like another organism, but consciousness develops because of the biological structures that are developing through the process of gestation and then obviously after birth. And that's also why, in my opinion, why our consciousness continues to develop. Like, people always say that like your brain isn't done developing until you're like 25 or whatever. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
as someone who is a lot older than 25, I can say that I do remember shifts from, obviously from being a little kid to being like a teen, or, like that, what do they call it? Preteen,
Preteen?
tween, I don't know.
Yeah.
Those words are so fucking weird to me. I don't have kids, so
Me
like I don't.
too.
But anyway, so like I remember those stages of development, but I also do remember, as I was, like an adult at 18, in my 20s, through my 20s, I still know that my consciousness was changing and developing a lot. So I think that like seeing that, when a fetus is created or a zygote or whatever, that it doesn't start being conscious. Consciousness develops from the complexity of the biological systems that are
Mm-hmm.
created as part of the gestation process. I think, and then subsequently it's added to throughout the rest of that individual's development as they are born and then get older, blah blah blah. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying is that it seems to me like consciousness is just something that comes from those biological processes. It's not something
Yeah.
inherent to us, which is why you see
It's
people who have like birth defects and things like that who don't have the type of consciousness that you and I have. And I think it's because
yeah.
it only comes from those biological systems and
Yeah.
structures. So I don't see any reason to think that consciousness comes from consciousness. It seems that consciousness comes from biological structures.
Yeah. Okay. I see. And the I guess the only rebuttal I had to what you said to the consciousness argument would be, well, the sperm and the eggs are coming from a conscious being, but like you're saying, it's more of a what did you say? A biological construct?
Yeah,
What was it?
biological structures was the word
Yeah.
term I was using. I don't know that that's like a technical term or anything like that. I
Oh,
just
it makes sense. It makes sense in my brain. So I like that you use that. And you're very, but just by the way, you're very well spoken.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, and I
I-
appreciate that you're communicating with me and actually talking to me. I appreciate that.
I
Um,
mean, just to send it right back to you, I appreciate that you're just honestly trying to have the conversation. You're not. I don't think either of us are trying to win points. I don't think either of us are trying to like cook the other person. You know what I mean? Like that's
No,
these are the kinds of conversations I want to have. So thank you as well.
I'm a very curious person, and I'll be honest with you. I do know there's a lot that I need to look into when it comes to my faith, because there's a lot of things that I doubt when it comes to my faith. You know what I'm saying? Like who knows if 500 people actually died saying that they saw Jesus come alive? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so for me, it's more of like, I feel like the thought of there being a God, like this is me being 100% authentic. A majority of people that have a concept or have a desire to believe in a God, it's coming from a place of fear. Like I feel like that that either it's like they fear death and they want to think that there's something after it, but there probably won't be, and it like helps them stay like sane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it comes down to like Pascal's wager for a lot of people. The idea that like if I believe in God and there is no God, then I haven't really lost anything versus um if I don't believe in God and there is a God, then I end up with like eternal torment or whatever. So it's like there's like the
Yeah.
idea being I fucking love this pompadour thing. It's so fucking cool. Anyway, sorry.
Oh my
Um
God, you look like Elvis.
I know, it's fucking awesome. I don't know why I love it so much. But anyway,
No, I love it, dude.
I completely lost my train of thought now.
Mm. Okay, so no. What you were just saying actually reminded me of a conversation I had with one of my really, really good friends. Like, probably my best friend in the world. He doesn't believe in God. He's very similar to you, right? But his whole, my argument to him was, well, if I'm wrong and I don't, if I'm wrong
Pascal's
and I
wager.
do believe,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
Pascal's wager.
exactly,
So the idea
yeah,
is that there's infinite gain if you believe in God and you're right, and infinite loss if you disbelieve and you're wrong. And then the idea being
mhm,
that like what is to risk or gain on the other side of each of those is negligible. So we should
yeah,
always like favor the side that seems to have infinite benefit. But the problem with that is that assumes that there's
mhm,
only one option for a God existing, right? Like it assumes that um because let's say for example that you spend your life thinking that the Christian God exists and doing everything you can to avoid Christian hell, and then you die
mhm,
and you end up in Muslim hell because you didn't pray
yeah,
to Mecca 5 times a day, and Allah is mad at
or
you for
yeah,
not holding Muhammad in proper esteem. You know what I mean? Like that could very well
yeah,
happen. And so there's literally no way for you
mhm,
to ensure that there's no way for you to live your life that would guarantee you end up in every heaven. For example, like in the
yeah,
Norse mythology, there are people, I know people who still believe that mythology is true, and so like that potentially is a live option if there are gods or whatever, if there are supernatural things. If that's a live option, then the only way that you get the good afterlife is if you die in battle. So like, I just
yeah,
I just don't think that there is a way to live your life to guarantee that you couldn't end up in some possible hell. Like um let's say for example that the reason that it's so hard to prove God is because there actually is a God, but it's the God atheismo, and all atheismo wants is for people to not believe in God. Like he intentionally set up the universe to look like there's no God, and then anybody who's gullible enough to believe in a God, he will send to a hell that's a million times worse than any other all the other hells combined. But
yeah,
if you live your life as an atheist and you never fall prey to the gullibility to believe in a god, then he rewards you with a paradise afterlife that's a million times better than all the other paradises combined. So like
yeah,
this
like
is
better than anything
yeah,
I could
exactly.
imagine.
So this is a
Hmm.
conception where it's possible, like we could say like, okay, this, what if the Christian God is real? What would happen? What if the Islamic God is real? What would happen? Okay, but what if atheismo is real? And so if we're saying like we don't actually have evidence to believe in any of these, but we want to believe based on this like prudential, pragmatic rationalization, I just think that if we're actually being rational about it, we have to say we don't actually have a reason to think that one God is real over the other. And since there's no way to avoid every possible hell and get into every possible heaven, it's pointless to even try. So until if there is a God, we just have to hope that it's a reasonable enough God to where if you die or if I die and I'm, standing in front of them in the afterlife and they says, she asks me, why didn't you believe in me? And I say, well, I didn't have any evidence. I was honestly looking and I just didn't have any evidence. I just have to hope that she'll be nice enough to, not ram stuff in places I don't want it rammed for the rest of
Yeah,
eternity.
literally. Um, uh, I feel like for that's a very honestly, like objectively speaking, your argument is bulletproof. You know what I'm saying? And it's something that I personally wouldn't be able to get through to you and try to make you Christian, because realistically a lot of these people right now are in the comments spamming, oh, we have the Holy Spirit. That's a very personal like experience, you know what I'm saying? So how can you, maybe has never experienced the Holy Spirit, quote unquote, how could you, like you said, guarantee that for yourself? And it's like it would be pointless for you to pursue something that you know for a fact isn't like solid. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially like you said, if in the end we all had to pray to Muhammad and his God, Allah, and it's like, um I genuinely think that for myself, Christianity like is a very personal thing. So that's why I never try to push that on somebody, because I do feel like for my experience it's very personal. And my, like I said before, my main argument was life comes from life, and that's been the evidence that I've seen. Um but I do kind of agree with you with life coming from biological structures. I think that was what you said.
Well, so I would say life comes from non-life. I don't think that there's you can't smoke or vape or anything on stream. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Um,
Let me turn this off.
yeah, no problem. So I would say that life. I don't know of any conception where maybe panspermia is the only idea where life actually does come from life. Panspermia being the idea that like there's some advanced alien race that like put biological material on the earth so that life would develop. I don't know how many people take that position seriously, but that's the only thing that I can think of where life on earth came from life. But then the question, I gotta kick you, Brian, because the
Yeah, no, you're
the
fine. You're
smoking.
fine, brother. That's my fault.
I
I'll
appreciate
leave
the
this alone.
conversation. Maybe we can chat another time.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah. No, I had to. Well, that was unfortunate. One little puff and TikTok immediately was like, "Get the fuck out of here." I thought that was a good conversation. I appreciate Brian, and I hope that I get the opportunity to talk to him again. Um, Very good, Faith. TikTok booted due to smoking. Hey, yeehaw! Okay. Definitely need to talk to Brian again if I get the opportunity. Brian, if you're still in the chat or anything, please shoot me a follow. And hopefully we could talk again. Okay, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. For the people crying in the comments, there are two things that I take into consideration when deciding who to bring up next. Number one, I bring up the people who have been requesting the longest, and number two, I skip over people who spam the chat begging to get brought up. So just so you know. We'll see you. Hi, Steez. How old are you?
Nigger.
Yeah, that's about the best that they've got, unfortunately. Yeah, exactly, Poopman Jones. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay, so I need to write that down. Oh, I know what I need to do. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so yeah, like I said, just make sure you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence, and I will move on to the next person. Hi, Jesse. Are you at least 18?
Yes, I am.
Cool. Do you believe in a God?
I do. I have. I sound just like the other gentleman, but I'm Christian. But I'd like to come at it just from the angle that theistic belief is reasonable and rational.
Yeah, that's fine. There is like I don't know if you're like on some kind of mic with a gain knob on it because it's like, oh, it just went away, but now there's an echo.
Oh, shoot.
Because there was like really bad background noise. It was like super loud.
I appreciate you letting me know that.
Yeah, it did go away, and it sounds like the echo stopped too. So I think we're actually good now. So I just me whining about it made it go away. So I'll remember that. Anytime I don't like something in life, all I need to do is whine about it, and it'll stop. So that's the lesson I'm taking away from today. Okay, but yeah, so you're saying that you're taking the approach that it is rational to be a theist, and that's exactly the conversation that I want to have. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would lead us to that conclusion?
Well, so it's awesome that we're having this conversation right now. Able to use our brains to probe these things. And I would say probably, the fine-tuning argument is interesting and everything in terms of cosmology, but for me, when it comes to the reasonableness of theism, I would look at, you could call it the fine-tuning of biological cells that, in recent times we've learned a lot more about it in terms of through microbiology, the essentially nano, dare I say, technology structures that are just buzzing in each of our trillions of cells. And, where there's smoke, there's fire is kind of a reasonable, I'd say, correlation or pattern recognition when we recognize the amount of intention. So certainly, as you said, it's amazing how the physical laws operate in a way that allows this consistent, beautiful universe, but certainly anything inanimate, right, is governed by physical laws. And the life is governed as well, including the second law of thermodynamics, which, says that.
Well, I don't want to run off into like a bunch of different arguments, because if we start
Sure.
getting into entropy, that's a completely different argument than this
Right.
fine-tuning thing. So you're just talking about like fine-tuning in biology. Why? So here's my concern, Jesse. It feels like this is just post hoc. Like, it feels like what you're saying is we discovered some new evidence, and then you just like yoinked it and said, this is part of my theory now. If
Yep.
it was the case that those structures that we found were predicted by theism, then before we found them, theists would have been out there saying, we're going to find this. You know what I mean? Like, when evolutionary scientists make predictions, when they look at the biological history on the planet, and they're trying to say, like, how did we get from this thing that we know existed to this other thing that we know existed, but we don't have anything in between. We don't know what the median process was, or where. Then they can say, okay, if evolution is true and all the information that we think we know about these two organisms are true, then here's what we should expect about whatever was in the middle. And they can make predictions about where it would be, where it would exist in the world, what layer of rock it would be in, and how to find it. And then they go out, and what happens consistently is they actually find those things that they predicted. They say, we're going to find an organism that has these features, doesn't have these features. This is the part of the world it's going to be located in, and this is like the stratification layer of rock that it's going to be located in. And then they go look in that part of the world, that stratification layer, and they find an organism, a record or history, fossils of an organism that have the features they predicted and don't have the features they predicted it wouldn't have. That is what predicting. That's what evidence looks like. It looks like saying my hypothesis predicts this, then going out into the world and finding that thing. To say that the theistic hypothesis predicts these like biological discoveries is to suggest that prior to those discoveries, people in theism were saying, we're going to find these structures. So unless you can find me a theist defining and describing those structures prior to their discovery, it's really hard for me to believe you that this is predicted under the theistic hypothesis. It sounds like like I said, you're just doing this post hoc thing where you're saying this seems complicated, and my view, says that complicated things need, intention behind them. Therefore, I'm going to say this is more evidence that there's intention behind things. But all that's doing is it's confirmation bias. You haven't actually demonstrated the principle that these things need a creator. You're just saying, if I already assume that these things have a creator, then this is another thing that must have a creator.
Yeah. And when it comes to origins, of course, there's always, you can go either way pretty much, and you can kind of form a rational argument to yourself or someone else, and you can further go down that road as you progress. Oftentimes, the brain kind of perceives patterns one way or the other, and it's just that it's so compelling logically. Like I like to think of this fine tuning when you're on.
Wait, but
Mars,
this isn't compelling logically, Jesse, and I just explained that to you. I just explained how this shouldn't be compelling at all because it's not actually predicted by your view. So if it's not predicted by your view, then it's not evidence for your view. And if it's not evidence for your view, it's not logical to take it as evidence for your view.
I would say it is evidence of the view, because whenever humans have seen anything that has intent behind it.
How did we demonstrate there was intent behind these things?
Language, like with the
how did we demonstrate that there was intent behind these biological structures that were discovered?
I would say one of the best structures would be
No,
DNA
how did we
that
determine that there was intent behind them? I understand that the structures exist. I'm asking, how did
Right.
we determine that there was intent behind them?
Well, when you have a code, for example, in the case of the genetic code,
This is just question begging. Listen, Jesse, the only time we've ever seen code come into existence is when a human mind has created it. Have you ever witnessed
Right.
code come into existence without a human mind being involved?
never. Not
Yeah,
once.
exactly. So the only conclusion that we can draw about code coming into existence is that it must be created by humans. Since DNA existed before humans existed, even if we want to call DNA a code, we can't use this inductive evidence we have about how code is created and apply it to DNA because it doesn't qualify. If we have only ever seen code come into existence when it's made by human minds, then that means the only inference that we should be drawing is that if we discover a new code, maybe a human mind created it. We have no reason to think that there is any other type of mind that's capable of creating a code.
Right. I mean, there is information theory which kind of structures the idea of what code is, and there's just profound teleology or intent.
That doesn't respond to my point, Jesse.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right that there's always the option that some unguided process could conceivably, especially through probability and chance with enough time, come up with something like a functional code or functional complexity.
Yeah, so you have to demonstrate that's not possible. That's your burden if you want this to be evidence for your view. Not that it's not possible. You have to demonstrate that it's like orders of magnitude more likely under the theistic hypothesis than a naturalistic hypothesis, and I just don't think that you're going to be able to do that. That's why when you see like philosophically savvy apologists trying to have these debates and they talk about fine-tuning, they talk about the physical constants because those are the ones that like are the hardest to assail. These like pointing to like biological stuff for fine-tuning is I mean it's almost as bad as pointing to like the distance from the sun and stuff. That's not these just aren't things that we would expect. I don't have any reason to think that we would expect these things under the theistic hypothesis. And even if we did, they're also expected under the naturalistic hypothesis, so they can't possibly be evidence for one over the other. Or at least they can't possibly be evidence for theism over naturalism.
Like I was getting to, if you don't want to talk about entropy, but that does kind of move things.
Well, if you want to
always
shift
towards...
to a different, if you want to like concede on fine tuning, we can move on to the cosmological argument. But
well,
it's
it's all related.
It's not
all
related.
related.
No, it's not.
Well, when I say fine tuning, I was probably misappropriating that term because it is normally used to cosmology. But what I'm talking about is very specific optimization in functional systems. That's totally different than, like something that's inanimate that doesn't have any engineering intent, dare I say, behind it.
Yeah.
Like
So why couldn't those things exist without a God?
Well, because there's such optimization. So with entropy and
this is just a claim again. This is just a claim again.
There's a huge number of states that are not specialized.
Yeah. Why should we think that those things can't exist without a God? That was my question. Just stating your position again isn't an argument for your position.
Well, it's just purely statistics.
No,
like
you have to give the statistics. You have to give me the calculation that you did to determine the statistics. What's the calculation?
And it's astronomically small.
Yeah. What's the calculation that you did?
Well, so for example, when you have something even relatively simple, like a partition of two gases, so that's a very specialized state, you would agree initially, where the two gases are separate. And we can just talk about maybe 20 gas molecules, a highly simplified model. And when you then remove that partition, due to now the larger freedom or state space to start exploring all these different combinations that totally overwhelm that initial special arrangement that we deem special because it's highly separated, the chances of that ever returning from a highly mixed, disorganized state back to the separated state is, I forgot the exact numbers, but it's 1 to the 30 or 10 to the 30th power. It's just so unlikely to ever occur. Even
you didn't give me the calculations, Jesse. You're just making a bunch of claims. What I need you to do is tell me where you got the numbers to do the statistical calculation and then what the numbers are.
Yeah, I did the calculation myself.
So give me the numbers and where you got them.
Right. Okay, yeah, I'd be love to do that. And in fact, I do enjoy.
Give me the numbers then.
Great space.
Give me the numbers.
I'd have to go back and get it and do it again. But I do enjoy this space that you're very sincere, seemingly wanting to get to the truth of things, which is absolutely fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still just wanting the actual evidence, because it sounds like what you're doing is you're claiming there's a bunch of evidence, and then you don't want to actually present it. And this is, I'll be
Well,
honest with you,
I
like,
can give
it's
you an
frustrating.
approximation.
No, I
Like,
don't
you
want
would
an
agree, right?
approximation. If it's your claim that, you've determined some degree of statistical likelihood, I need the calculations that you did to make that determination.
Sure. And it's cool because we could even use ChatGPT to do that
No.
simple
No, we should not
calculation.
use ChatGPT for this kind of thing.
Well, in multiple AIs oftentimes because they correct
No, because
each
all
other.
they're going to do is tell you things that other people have said that were fed into their large language models. That doesn't tell us what's
No,
true.
no, this is a fairly simple calculation actually because you basically
No, then we could just
have
use a
to know-
calculator. So just tell me what the numbers are, where you got them, and then I can run the calculator.
Okay, cool. So let's see. I'm trying to remember how I did the calculation. So if you had 20 molecules of hydrogen in one side and 20 molecules of helium in the other side, and then you have to, how did I figure out how many possible states that are possible? Oh man. So you just
But this, I
obviously,
don't
like-
understand how this would be relevant at all to the God topic. Like, because I understand that you're saying that, like, if we define some specific arrangement as special, and then the arrangement that we've defined as special is like statistically unlikely to be like obtained in nature, I don't see
Yep.
how that tells us anything, because as far as I can tell, all of the processes involved in like our solar system coming into existence, our planet coming into existence, life coming into existence, the evolution happening the way that it did, humans coming into existence, like, I don't see any part of any reason that we should think any part of that process couldn't have happened, just as a result of unguided natural processes. In fact,
Well, I'm
we
so-
have.
so glad you brought that up.
Okay, but
Because
this
Ogar,
is.
'cause-
I'm not bringing this, Jesse. This is really frustrating.
Well,
Jesse, hold on, please let me talk. This
Sure.
is really frustrating because this isn't something that I'm bringing up. This is the thing that I've been asking you to address for the majority of this conversation, and the fact that you think that I'm just now bringing it up tells me that you haven't actually been engaging with what I'm trying to say here.
No, I am.
What
It's
I'm
just you
okay,
brought up
so
the
so what I'm asking you,
differentiation.
so what I'm asking you to do here, Jesse, is to demonstrate how it is to demonstrate that it is unlikely for these things to have happened through natural processes alone, and I need you to show your work.
Okay. Well, so what I was referring to is that you're talking about these inanimate, huge objects. Anything inanimate, right? We clearly see is highly understood through the physical laws and how that progresses in time. Like you talk about formation of stars and planets and all of
This
even
isn't
the weather
responding to
systems.
anything that I asked you, Jesse. I don't need all this rambling.
But the thing is, when you come to life, abiogenesis, how the first self-reproducing cell came about. When you look into that, unfortunately, and it's frustrating because I'd like to understand kind of possible ways that this did come about in an understandable way, because I like to understand stuff. But when you start looking mathematically at even highly simplified, models of various
Jesse,
cellular
you're
structures.
talking a lot, but you're not saying anything.
Right. So let's see. I guess I would say let's talk about the great what is this central dogma that Crick brought up with genes.
No, demonstrate how abiogenesis couldn't have happened without intentional guidance.
Right. So you need to have a particular sequence of genes or DNA. Let's see, I'm sorry, nucleic acids.
Yeah, you're just like rattling off jargon. What I need you to do is actually put this together. Like, so it sounds like what you're doing right now, Jesse, is a little bit of a Jordan Peterson thing, where you're just like saying words that sound like they're related to the conversation that I'm trying to have, but we're not actually getting any content out of what you're saying. Like I could ramble off a bunch of big philosophy words, or I could ramble off a bunch of scientific sounding words, but just because I can say those words doesn't mean that we're actually moving the conversation forward. What I'd like you to do is actually move the conversation forward by providing a concrete, demonstrable example of the difficulty or the unlikeliness of life developing or abiogenesis happening without intelligent guidance. I need you to directly address that. And if you're not able to directly address that, then I just am going to have to move on to the next person, because it doesn't seem like we're actually having the same conversation right now.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I mean, it does take some explanation of things, but
okay, so you're doing exactly what I told you not to do, Jesse. So what I need you to do when you talk is the only thing that you should be focusing on is not the meta, is not like commenting on like what you think about what I've said. I need you to just directly address how you determined the degree of likelihood or unlikelihood for abiogenesis to happen without intelligent guidance.
Sure, and you motivated me to go ahead and try and really go back.
Okay, so you're still doing it, Jesse.
Okay, so I would say when you talk about
you're still doing it.
Okay, well, so you don't want me to talk about like biological, cellular, and molecular structures and how?
No, I want you to so, Jesse. What I want you to do is actually like show the work that you did, or that you're privy to, that someone did, that demonstrates how likely or unlikely it is for life to develop via abiogenesis.
Okay, well, the simplest thing I could say is a protein that's functional. The particular arrangement of the amino acids, say just a simple protein is like 100 amino acids sequenced. That particular sequence, if there's a single one shifted, oftentimes that will.
Yeah, this isn't actually showing the degree of likelihood. You're just saying that, like, if this was done randomly, it would be really hard to make it happen. But nobody who believes in or researches abiogenesis is going to tell you that this is just a completely random process. There are obviously things that, like, there are states of affairs around, like, when abiogenesis happened, the Earth was a lot different than it is now. And the environment in which it happened was unlike any environment that you or I have ever been in. And the type of chemical reactions that were happening, as far as we know, are the exact type of chemical reactions that are extremely favorable for the development of complex amino acids turning into complex proteins, turning into or supporting the coming into existence of self-replicating molecules. So again, all you're saying is this like vapid, empty claims about how, like, if you just throw a bunch of amino acids into a box, it's unlikely you're going to get a protein. Okay, but nobody's claiming that that's how life came into existence. So what you're doing is you're just attacking a straw man right now. What you need to be doing is saying, here is the most up-to-date claims on how abiogenesis happened from scientists who are actively investigating it, and here's the refutation of their claims of how it could have happened. That's what you need to do. Okay, so I'm going to really get you specific on you now. So if the next thing that you say is anything other than specific studies that were done supporting the hypotheses behind abiogenesis and a refutation of those studies, if you say anything other than that, I'm just moving on.
Yeah, that's fine. I would just recommend looking into abiogenesis.
Okay, so you don't have that, is what you're saying, right?
Well, it's a huge
So
subject.
It's a yes or no question. Do you have what I just told you I would need from you?
And the scientific method has to
So it's a yes or no question. Do you have what I said I would need from you?
There's a lot of
So it's a yes or no question, Jesse. I feel like you said at the beginning, I don't remember how old you said you are, but I'm pretty sure I remember you saying you're like in your 30s or 40s or something. Hopefully you are enough of an adult to understand how yes or no questions work. I'm asking you a yes or no question, which, if you're an honest, good faith interlocutor, would be responded to with a yes or no answer. Do you have what I'm asking you for? Yes or no?
No, I don't.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for being honest about that. If you have the ability to figure that stuff out, come up with an actual argument, I'd be happy to try to talk to you again, but please make sure next time that you cut out all the fluff and just get to the meat and the actual argument, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Poopman Jones, it seems like you were struggling during that one. All right. I'll be honest with you, Poopman Jones. It's very rare that somebody else gets more worked up than me. But I'm in my like I feel real chill today. Okay, so if you're in the guest queue, I already said that. Oh no, I'm with you, Poopman Jones. It is extremely frustrating. unfortunately, I've just been exposed to such an insane degree of how frustrating people can be in these types of conversations that it's a lot easier to deal with those people because at least they're not, like the Phil bro assholes. Okay, before I bring up the next person, I just want to run through real quick. It looks like a bunch of people are supporting, and I seriously appreciate it so much. What do we got? Cake Against the Machine, such a great name. JX, Apostate, Cake Against the Machine, again, Ed is word. 3 Pips, thank you. Bobby Hill, thank you. That pinch face thing, I was going to call that out when that happened. That was funny. Bradley, thank you so much for the Pompadour, the Rockstar. I love that fucking thing. Was it Derby? Thank you. Poopman Jones, both sides. Mr. Chungus, love the name. Saintly, Poopman Jones, Mikey, Lupine, SciTech Nature, just sincerely thank you so much, everybody, for the support. Holy shit, 19,000 likes. Honestly, you guys, like, I don't know. I don't want to be a broken record, but I just feel like I need to say thank you, everybody, because I sincerely mean it. I do want to really quick plug that I have a YouTube channel. It's just Ogar Debates. If you guys are able to go over there, drop a subscription to it, then hopefully I can build that and start doing more over there as well. So any support there is appreciated. The other thing that I've done recently is I opened a Discord, or started my own Discord. It's really still small, not super active, but I think it's an opportunity for us to continue trying to build communities that aren't, based on, specific belief systems or anything like that. And, the goal would be to work and towards, growing and learning together. So anyway, that's my whole spiel, plug-in stuff. I don't know. I'll move on to the next person. Hopefully we can have a good conversation. Hi, Nick. How old are you?
18.
Cool. Do you believe in a God?
I do.
All right. Which one?
I don't know what the correct term is, but I don't believe in, I would say, a religion. I don't believe in, a named God.
Okay. Do you believe in, a personal ultimate foundation to reality?
A kind of an ultimate creator, you're saying?
Yeah, like a mind that everything else in existence relies on for its existence.
Yeah, I think it's more like a being, I guess, would be the best word to describe it, beyond our beyond human
Right. Do you think that it's like the creator of the universe, that everything else in that it has a mind, that everything else relies on it? Do you think those things are true about it?
When you say has a mind, I think way beyond a human mind. I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't say human mind.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Okay. So what would be the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
All right, so I look at it more as philosophical view.
Mm-hmm.
Just reality, more looking at creation, the creation of the universe and everything. I'm not too familiar with all the theories, obviously you have the Big Bang and everything, but I just more of the idea that nothing or something can't come from nothing.
Are you trying to give something like the cosmological argument? Everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. Because it sounds like you're saying something like that. That since the universe began, and things that begin have a cause, then the universe must have a cause. It sounds like that's what you're saying. Am I misinterpreting?
Not. I wouldn't say the universe has to. I'm more talking about reality.
Okay.
The reality that
when I say the universe, I mean the set of all things that exist, essentially.
So that would be including reality, as me and you know it, kind of.
Right.
So.
Well, because you can't say that God brought reality into existence, because if God is real, then by God existing, reality exists. So
I think God exists on a plane beyond
is God real?
All reality.
Is God real?
I believe God is
Okay, so if God exists, he's real. If he's real, then that means that even if God exists and is the only thing that exists, then reality exists. Did God come into existence, or has God existed without beginning?
I think God has existed without beginning. But
Okay, so if God is real, then any state of existence where even just God exists, reality already exists. If God has existed without beginning, then there has been reality without beginning. So there is no state of existence where reality doesn't exist. God can't bring reality into existence. That it doesn't make any sense. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like the universe, which is like space and time and matter and energy and all those kinds of things, material things and whatever. Like, so I just, it seems like I don't know, maybe like you're using words in a really weird way, and now we're just talking about semantics. I'd just like to talk about whether or not there's reason to believe in God.
so my reason would be, I don't know, like maybe I'm not getting it out how I'm like I would want it, but my reasoning would just be that there has to be something, like, again, like, this is kind of very basic, but something can't come from nothing, you know?
Okay, but
If you
hold
don't
on,
mind me
hold on.
asking,
No one
okay.
thinks something came from nothing except for people who believe in God. So saying something can't come from nothing only attacks God views. It doesn't attack the not God view. So I don't know how that's relevant to thinking that a God exists if the only people who believe something from nothing are people who believe in God. Like if you're saying something can never come from nothing, then that would be an argument against a bunch of God views, and it would not be an argument against any not God views. So what is an actual like argument against the not God view or an argument for the God worldview?
If you don't mind me asking, how do you believe that the universe came about?
I don't have any reason to think that the universe came about.
So how do you believe that I'm talking to you right now? Like, how do you believe the Earth, the universe, like, do you believe in the Big Bang, or like a theory like that?
I mean, the Big Bang seems to, describe the expansion of the universe, but that has nothing to do with the universe coming into existence. You asked me about how the universe came about. I don't have a reason to think that the universe came about.
Well, so would you not say that the Big Bang would not be like the same thing as the universe, like kind of like the birth of the universe? Would that not be
Correct. It is not the birth of the universe. It is simply the beginning of the expansion of space-time.
Well, I mean, would that not be considered as the
If I
beginning?
if somebody blows up a
Yeah.
balloon, does when it began expanding also have to be the same time it began existing, or is it possible for it to have already existed and then start being blown up, completely separate from when it began existing?
Okay, so you're saying like maybe like like molecules or atoms were like existing beforehand.
I'm saying that there
Before.
could have been infinite other instantiations of the universe, infinite other bounces and big bangs and big
Yeah.
crunches before the Big Bang that
Our
brought about the
Big
way
Bang.
that we say things now. The universe
Yeah.
could have existed infinitely in an infinite series of other
Like
instantiations of that expansion and
of
contraction.
like there was multiple Big Bangs, and we're just living in like our version of it, kind of.
Right. What I'm saying is that it's possible, there's some evidence to suggest that it could be the case that eventually the expansion of the universe will stop, it'll start contracting on itself, then we would get a new hot dense state, and then that would expand again, and then eventually that would stop expanding, and it would, like a breathing universe is one of the ways that that's described, right? And or another name for the model is a big bounce, big crunch, because there's a bounce where everything gets big, and then there's a crunch where everything comes back in, and then if we just have an infinite series of those, we would just be in one of the infinite bounces.
Yeah.
Like we would be in between one of infinite bounces and one of infinite crunches. So I don't have any reason to think that the universe came into existence. So I don't have any reason to think that there's a God, because if the universe didn't come into existence and God is the being that brought the universe into existence, then obviously no gods exist.
So I think an easier way for me to get my point across is just going back to that like original example with like the existence of the universe. So you said that there's multiple Big Bangs. So where do you, whatever, I'm not a scientist, but whatever caused those big bangs, whatever atoms or whatever
It would
it
just be
is.
the
What do you think
geometry of
those?
space-time, in the same way that it's the geometry of space-time that causes, um, you know, mass to come together to form stars and planets and galaxies and whatever. It's just the natural dispositions of the way things are that exist are. It's just the dispositions for how those things are predisposed to behave. So if there's a cause for the Big Bang, that cause, there's no reason for us to think that that cause would be anything other than just the natural process, because it's feasible that if everything crunches in on itself, it's feasible to think that there's a point where, as it's crunching, it can't crunch anymore and it has to expand again. Now, do I know that that's definitely what happened or how that would happen? No, I don't. But I don't see any reason why that couldn't be the case. And in order for me to believe that there's a God, you would have to be able to demonstrate that that cannot be the case.
See what you're saying. Again, I look at it as more of like a, you know, I'm still figuring out, like, as I live my life,
Okay. Well,
what I believe in.
so far,
Yeah.
I haven't heard any reasons to believe in God. Do you have anything, or?
Yeah, I'm not. I've been trying to get it across. I just don't know if, like, it's just like I believe that reality, like, where do you believe the mass for the Big Bang came from? Do you believe that?
Why should I think that it ever came into existence? You keep asking these questions that presuppose that these things came into existence.
You believe it was already there?
I don't have a belief about it. I'm saying in order for it to be the case that it's even possible for there to be a God, you would have to demonstrate that it wasn't always there. Can you demonstrate that?
Can I demonstrate that what wasn't always there?
The universe. Matter. Whatever.
That there was some. So you're asking, can I demonstrate that there was something like before the universe?
Can you demonstrate that the universe actually came into existence in a meaningful way?
That there was a start to the universe.
Right. That's what you would need to demonstrate.
Yeah, exactly. I can, and no one on like our Earth can. So.
Okay. Well, as long as it's still an open possibility that the universe didn't come into existence, then no one should believe in a God. Because the only way a God could exist is if the universe did come into existence. So you would have to be able to know for sure that the universe came into existence in order to have justification to believe in a God. So it sounds like you're saying that you don't have the ability to demonstrate that.
Well, my justification, well, obviously I can't tell you the specific time and the specific process of how the universe came about, but I could say that I believe that something can't come from nothing.
Right, but if the universe always existed, then it wouldn't have to be something from nothing, because there would have never been nothing. So that's a complete red herring that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
But this is also where this is kind of where I believe that God is on like a plate.
Can you respond to what I actually just said, please?
Could you repeat it?
So you weren't listening?
Well,
were you listening when I was talking, or were you just waiting for me to be done so that you could say what you were going to say no matter what I said? Because that's pretty disrespectful.
You want me to exist that? You want me to prove that there was a start to the universe, that you want me to prove basically that there was a Big Bang or something like that. Obviously, I can't do that. But what I'm trying to say is that I believe that God and the existence of like our Creator would be so like far out from what we could comprehend, and he's on a plane of reality that we cannot, comprehend at all.
Okay, that doesn't have anything to do with anything that we've been talking about. So it sounds like you're kind of giving up on the conversation. So I guess I will too. Thanks for your time, Nick. Just felt like we weren't really getting anywhere. Here, why don't we do one of these, because I'm evil, and I'm gonna say more. God, that's depressing. All right. Well, Jenna, the reason that I have been more respectful tonight is that I have been getting people who are less disrespectful. Consistently, I will match the energy that I am getting from the people who come up here. If you come up here and you're a jerk, then you're going to get treated like a jerk. So, all right. We'll see if we can have a good conversation. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Let me take a note here. Good faith, but kind of. Okay. All right. We'll bring up the next person here. Hi, is it Nishan?
Yeah, Nishan.
Oh, I'm so proud of myself. All right. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay, cool. And do you believe in a God?
Yes.
Okay. And which God do you believe in?
We can say the Christian God, the God in the Bible.
Fair enough. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
So I think that there is a consistent internal force in every living thing that keeps us alive. And because of that, I think that is what you would call God. So I don't think that God is, you can't see God. You can't touch God. It's completely intangible. However, there is a force within every living thing, which is God, I would say.
So God's intangible, but there's a force inside living things, and that's God?
Yes.
Okay, so do you think that, like, is God the creator of the universe?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess I'm not, I don't know. I'm a little bit confused here, if I'm being honest.
So this force, everything has a intent, a force, a purpose, right? Even on a small cellular level, all those things have intent, purposes.
I don't think that that's
Can't see
necessarily
it.
the case. I think that things just do what they do, right? Like they do what they're disposed to do based on what kinds of things that they are. And because there have been billions and billions of years of evolution on this planet, we see that extremely complex processes have developed over time, but I don't see any reason why we should think that there's any intention behind that.
I think the intention would be to stay alive, to grow life.
No, what I'm saying is that so the way that life works, at like the most fundamental level, life is simply just self-replicating molecules that are trying to continue replicating. And when you have self-replicating molecules continuing to try to replicate, obviously that requires some kind of resources. And then you have this self-replicating molecule competing for resources with this other self-replicating molecule. And over time, those competitions for resources are going to get more and more complex. And the methods for gaining access to resources and the methods for defending against, losing your access to resources are just going to get more and more complex over time. And that's why we see, as we look in the evolutionary history of this planet, things starting off extremely simple and getting more and more complex. And so just because we have these like really complex biological systems in place now, I don't see why that would give us reason to believe that there was intention behind it. It's exactly what we would expect if there was no intention behind it and it was just evolution. So what I'm saying is, like, it seems like everything that we have, everything that we see in life is expected under the assumption that there is no God. So what is the thing that we can't explain if there is no God?
Can you repeat that last question?
Yeah, so it seems like everything that we see in life, no matter how complex it is, we can explain all of it without having to appeal to a God. But you're saying that there has to be a God for these things to work. So what is it that we're not able to explain unless we appeal to a God?
The thing is the will to live. Like, yes, there's a competition. Yes, it gets more and more complex. But at some point, we have to acknowledge that each living thing has a will to live, and the process is off of that.
Well, here's my question, Nishan.
That's why I would say that's God.
Here's my question, Nishan. Let's imagine we have some organism, some population of organisms, half of them have some just really basic, not very strong, but just like the first twinges of a drive to seek out resources and continue their existence. And then the other half of them just have zero motivation whatsoever to seek out resources and continue their existence. Of those, which half of the population do you think is more likely to survive and pass on its genes?
The one that has intention to.
Right. So even if at the beginning of, evolution, when life first came into existence, even if there wasn't any kind of intention involved, the organisms that were more likely to get access to resources and more likely to protect those resources from other early life forms from having access to them, those are the ones that are going to survive. And then those are the ones that are going to pass on their genes to the next generation of those organisms. And then in that next generation, there's still going to be competition, but now they have the benefit of the next generation is only populated by the descendants of the most competitive parent from the parent generation. So now this child generation is going to, in the child generation, the ones that are the most competitive are the ones that are going to be most likely to pass on their gene. So the next child generation is going to have even more competition in it. And that's literally just going to continue for every generation of organisms for the last, 4 billion years. So I don't see any reason why we wouldn't, like, what I'm saying is not only can we explain it without appealing to a God, we would expect it to be this way even if there wasn't a God. So I don't think that you've pointed out something we can't explain without a God.
So I agree with what you're saying, especially with the competition thing. And yes, over time, over generations, it's going to get more competitive and more.
And that's what the will to live is just that drive to be competitive for resources and to continue, to survive and to produce offspring. That's what that is. And so we not only can we explain it without a God, we would expect it to be there even if there is no God.
So that's where I feel like I'm kind of at odds with, because you said you would expect it to be there, and you explained it because of the kind of like the generation over time. That's why it would be there. However, you have to think like what is causing that expectation. And you mentioned something earlier. You said like the crunch, right? The expansion and the crunch of the universe, right?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, though.
No, wait, I'm about to tie it in just a second. Right, if the universe is expanding, right? And we talked about intent and will to live. If you want the universe or you want anything to expand, if you were God, you would give them the intent to be stronger and live and develop and grow.
That's fine. But Nishan, I don't need you to explain how like you think that this would be the case if God exists. What you need to explain is how this couldn't be the case if no God exists.
If no God, okay, so I'm saying that God is the reason for that will to live. If there is no God, there's no will to live. That's my claim.
Yeah, okay, so you need to demonstrate that claim is true.
So, right, if that claim isn't true, right, and which is...
No, I need you to demonstrate that it is true that unless there's a God, organisms would not have a will to live or a drive to compete for resources.
That's kind of hard to explain because
that's the burden you've taken on yourself, Nishan.
But no,
you asked for that burden. If you don't want that burden, then you can just give up the claim.
You can't say like, hey, in an imaginary world, if there wasn't a God, it's the fact that God has always been, and
that's the claim.
Intent to live has always been.
No.
So
no, it hasn't.
So yes, it has, because if you want the universe, well, since universal expansion.
No. Because there were no living things in the first, bare minimum millions of years of the universe's existence. So if there were no living things, then obviously there was no will to survive. But again, Nishan, I think you're missing the point here. What you need to be demonstrating right now is that that will to live that you're pointing to can only exist if there's a God, or at least that it's insanely unlikely for it to exist if there's no God. I've already described rudimentarily, if we're being honest, I gave a rudimentary example of why we would expect that there would be this will to survive if there is no God. So you need to show not only that my explanation fails, but that any possible not God explanation fails to be able to explain that.
I get what you're saying. So I gotta process this because I'm thinking I have to like kind of imagine a world as if.
Nishan, I have so much fucking respect for you for saying that. Thank you for just being honest and saying, wow, yeah, I really want to think about this. And I'm not saying that you like are conceding or I won something. I just want to call out, like, I just respect the hell out of that. And I just thank you for actually being honest and actually trying to genuinely have the conversation. Because I also, if I'm wrong, I want to know that, right? So
Right.
I'd be very happy if you were able to show me that I'm wrong and that we do need a God to explain these things. And I just know that the best way to get to that is for people to have that attitude. So anyway, I've derailed the conversation. I apologize. I just wanted to say thank you for actually taking it seriously and trying to genuinely have the conversation.
No, of course. So
Here's another thing that I'll tell you, Nishan. I know I've thrown a lot at you. If you want to think about this and pick up this conversation another time, that's an option as well. I stream like I have been streaming 5 days a week, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central. I'm looking at potentially increasing that. So like I'm on here all the time. I'm not saying you have to leave right now. I'm just saying if you feel that you would be better served to take a step away, think about this, and then come back when you've got your thoughts together, that is a totally reasonable course of action. If you want to continue the conversation, I'm happy to keep talking to you though.
So I guess what I'm thinking of is like, it's like, okay, I feel as if that there's no real expansion going on. Like, if there's not a cause for it. So, okay, so think of it like this, right? God is like is put in you. So each individual cell has God in it, and God is telling it what to do. So if God, like, so if you take away that, right, I feel like the cell just wouldn't do anything because it's nothing inside of it motivating it.
So
You get what I'm saying?
that's just the claim that you've been making. What I'm asking you to do is to provide the demonstration that that claim is likely to be true.
Okay. So I would say this. Would you agree that anything that you do or anything that is done has a purpose to it?
No.
Or there's something to get out of it? Like everything, like there's a cause to everything for a certain warranted effect.
I mean, I would say that, like, trivially, because of the definition of cause and effect, if there's an effect, there's a cause. But I don't think that's the same thing as saying there's a purpose.
So, okay, if there's an effect, there's a cause, right? So what we have is effect of expansion, an effect of living things, of effect of competition of genetics or gene pool, whatever.
Right, but we
Effect
can
of-
explain all that with only natural causes. We can explain all of that without appealing to a god. So what I'm saying,
So wait.
what I'm saying, Nishan, your burden that you've taken on in this conversation is to demonstrate that, in fact, we can't adequately explain those things without a god. Like, I agree that those things exist. I agree that they are questions that, we want to answer. But as far as I can tell, we are answering those questions more and more every day. And all of the answers that we're finding don't require a god. None of them require a god. But you're saying that, in fact, those answers do require a god. And I'm asking you to demonstrate why anyone would believe that that's true without just reasserting that it's true.
So, okay, when you say natural causes, what would be the natural cause of a cell choosing to bond with another cell? Like, what would be that cell's, starting just at the very base level, what would be that natural cause?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you would want to talk to people who study this kind of thing. What the fuck is happening in the likes? My likes just jumped to 160,000.
Oh.
I don't know what the fuck is happening. I'm so sorry. I'm distracted. So I think that those are really good questions for people who study those kinds of things, like biologists or people who study abiogenesis or whatever. Like, I think that these are reasonable questions. I just don't think that like they're. So what it sounds like, Nishan, is like you're saying you don't know the explanation for how these things could happen without a God. So then you're assuming that there must have been a God involved.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I'm saying is that just because you don't know what could explain it without a God, that doesn't mean that there isn't an explanation without a God. So you have to be able to demonstrate that there isn't an adequate explanation without a God, not just say, I don't know what the explanation would be without a God. Do you understand the difference between those?
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, it's like if I walk outside and my car is damaged, right? Like my car has like a big gigantic dent on the side. Now, I don't know how it got dented because the last time I saw it, it was in, normal condition. It did not have that huge dent, and I'm not aware of anything I didn't see or hear or have any experience of anything that would give me any indication of how the dent got there. So now I'm in a state of not knowing. It would be irrational for me to just jump to a conclusion. The rational thing for me to do would be to seek out evidence that would help me conclude what happened if I want to know what happened. Like, let's say I want to file an insurance claim. Well, I need to start like doing things that'll provide me evidence. If I have like a doorbell camera, or my neighbors have doorbell cameras, or some other like whatever, like ask my neighbors if they saw or heard anything, whatever. Like I can do some kind of investigation to try to see if I can get evidence that would help me determine what caused the dent. But just being that initial state of seeing the dent and not knowing, it would be totally unreasonable for me to just jump to the conclusion that my neighbor must have run into it with his truck. And then I go over to his house and start yelling at him, how dare you damage my vehicle? I mean, I don't even know that he did it. Now, could he have done it? Is it possible that he did it? Sure. I guess it's possible, but that doesn't mean that I'm justified in jumping to that conclusion. And I feel that that's kind of what you're doing. You're saying, I don't know the explanation. I want this to be the explanation. Therefore, that's the explanation. And I just don't think that that's a rational way to go about determining what is or isn't true.
Okay. But I also would feel as if, like, if we don't take that explanation, if we don't say that God is causing it, it's like we don't have any other rational explanation.
No, we do.
We would never find the.
Yeah, we have the explanations. Yeah, we have tons and tons of chemists and biologists that could explain this to you very easily. These are not really big mysteries.
So they can explain why cells don't separate from each other, or why cells contribute to the destruction of each other. Why does every living thing contribute to the life of itself?
Yeah, they would definitely be able to explain that. Yep, absolutely. We know how those things happen. Now, I'm not a biologist. I'm not a chemist. I don't know these things. I'm not going to pretend to have knowledge that I don't have. So I have to say, I don't know with confidence how those things work exactly. I know little bits about it, but certainly not enough to, try to explain it to you, to answer these questions in a way that you're going to find satisfying. So what I recommend is that you research into this. You look for people who are doing research on this and see what they have to say. See what the arguments are, what the debates are that scientists are having about their explanations for these things. And then I think that'll give you a much better insight into what we can explain and what we can't explain and what the limitations of our understanding are.
See, I think that, and this I'm gonna leave after this, because I actually do want to go in and look now that you brought this to my attention, but I also feel like that us as a humanity, maybe even scientists as a whole, do you think that they could be like shooting themselves in the foot by not considering God? You at some point, it's like we have so many things that we don't understand or we can't explain, but when you do feel in God, stuff starts to make sense. But it's like it's kind of like we're setting ourselves behind by not considering God in it. You get what I'm saying? Like you're trying to do something like with a whole missing piece that we just ignored and said, hey, we can't prove it or it's not tangible. So
I do understand where you're coming from, but I just think I understand where you're coming from, Nishan, but I think that this is just a misunderstanding of what science is and how science works and what the limitations are of our ability to explain these things. So I think that like you're asking decent questions, but I just would recommend that you seek out sources, look for people who are doing and reporting on this kind of research and see what those people are saying about it.
Okay, that's valid. No, hey, I'll come back.
I hope you do, Nishan. I cannot
That's
tell you.
good.
I am so excited for our next conversation. And what I really, really hope is that in our next conversation, that you come with, some new information and an argument that just blows me out of the water. I would be so stoked.
Okay.
I would be so stoked.
All right, that's good. Nice talking to you.
Thank you so much, Nishan. You have a
Yep.
great rest of your night. Take care of yourself.
Yep. You too.
W's for Nishan. Yeah, exactly, Bradley Cooper. W's for Nishan. Wow, what a fantastic, those are the conversations that I really want to have. Kind of bottomed out in biology. Okay. Oh my God. So I don't know what the fuck happened with the likes. We're at almost over 190,000 likes. I have no idea how that happened. Thank you so much for tapping the screen, for the shares, for the follows. We've got 50 new followers tonight. Thank you so much for that. Sincerely appreciate all the support. Also, Poopman Jones, as always, thank you so much for the support. Colin Frackenbracken, what a fantastic. Hey! Yes, my favorite. Oh my God, I don't know why that makes me so happy. I love it so much though. Okay, thank you, Poopman Jones. Thank you, Velas. Colin Frackenbracken. I was just commenting how fun that name is. I like that one. Squatchu, My Lemon Cakes, SciTech Nature, Lupine, Mikey, Saintly, Mr. Chungus, both sides. Thank you so much, everybody. Sincerely, I don't know. It blows me away, all the support. Oh my God. And I upped the goal and we're over it again. So I'm just going to, I don't know. Do I up it again? I have no idea. I guess I could theoretically do that. I don't know. You guys are just blowing me away at this point. Here. Let's just get unreasonable with it. Oh, did it not work? Oh, because I'm really stupid. This is the level of professionalism you can expect here at Ogar Debates. Okay, so thank you everybody again, sincerely. Thank you, Lupine, for supporting again. Yeah, one more heart me. Yeah, I really appreciate it. To get to that goal. Yeah, get me up to Elon Rich. Yeah. Okay. So I will move on to the next person. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God. Thank you so much, Evan. And Paul together now. Send in the heart me, get me over that goal. Thank you, everybody. It sincerely helps an enormous amount when you guys obviously I love the folks who are sending tons of support and stuff. I appreciate that so much, but even just the little things, genuinely, just one thing here, one thing there, it helps so much. Because it keeps me in the algorithm. It means me get guests in here, get to have these good conversations. And hopefully it's continues being entertaining for everybody. So anyway, I'll stop rambling. R's been waiting forever. I think they must have dropped and come back multiple times, and that's why that they weren't at the top of the queue, but they are now. So now's conversation time. So are you at least 18?
Yes, I am. I'm 19.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
Without rambling, I was supernatural and whatnot, and super spiritual, and things full circled to Christ.
Okay, so you probably could have just answered Christ.
Yeah, cool. I could have.
So what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God without doing what you just did there and just getting straight to the point instead of talking about getting to the point?
Oh, what is your question again?
Yeah, what's the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I mean, I don't know. First of all, I think we were all kids. We all know the truth, dude.
Okay, sure, so you don't have any argument or evidence?
You seriously think that we don't get held accountable for anything.
So I'm asking if you have any argument or evidence. It sounds like the answer to that is no.
Bro, I have tons of personal experiences. I could favor testimony over testimony.
Okay, I
Like
don't
you
really
said,
care
you
about
want to hear
testimony. Personal
personal.
experience doesn't mean anything because there are personal experiences and testimonies for every, every religion, every non-religious spiritual belief, all of that stuff. There's tons of testimony and experiences that people have. What I would need is some kind of tool that would allow me to determine who is accurately interpreting their personal experiences, who is, accurately interpreting or presenting accurate testimony. Or rather, like, who is using their testimony to come to the right conclusion. So that's the kind of like epistemic tool that we would need in order for it to be meaningful that these personal experiences and testimonies exist.
I would, if there is a God, I think he works in our lives incredibly
Okay, but why should I
individually.
think that there is a God, Art? Because it sounds like now you're just
Well,
trying to
because you're
bail on your
alive.
previous
Yeah,
It sounds
I'm
like
pretty
now
sure
you're just
even you
bailing on
know.
what you said before and not responding to anything I'm saying, and you're just trying to pivot to something else.
Bro, don't do this stuff with me, bro. I'm trying to have a conversation with you.
Well, I'm trying to have a linear conversation. So if we're going to talk about one topic, let's talk about that topic until we're done with that topic and not jump to other things. So you talked about personal experience and testimony. And what I said was, if we want to use personal experience and testimony as evidence for God, we need some kind of epistemic tool that allows us to determine who's accurately interpreting their personal experiences and presenting testimony that, should reliably get us to God.
What does epistemic mean?
That just means like epistemology is like how we know what we know. It's like the branch of philosophy that deals with what knowledge is and how we can reliably go about obtaining knowledge.
What do you think is stuff like the shrouded turin?
Okay, so we're pivoting away from personal experience and testimony.
I guess so. Sure.
Okay.
You want something epistemic, something in the middle, right? Something proven and something that everyone can see.
I'm not asking for like tangible evidence. Epistemology doesn't only deal with like, scientific evidence or empirical evidence. Obviously like philosophical arguments are fine. I have no issue with that. And so when I was asking for an epistemic tool, I wasn't saying literally like give me a hammer that I can go, knock people on the head when they give testimony and somehow that'll tell me whether they're being truthful or not, or that their conclusions that they draw from their testimony are truthful or not. I'm not asking for anything physical like that necessarily. Like obviously physical evidence is fine, but like I'm just saying it doesn't have to be. I'm just saying if I have 5 people in front of me all giving me testimony about personal experiences that they've had, and they're all drawing different conclusions from those personal experiences, from their testimony, how do I tell which, if any, of their conclusions I should believe in? Now, we're imagining that all of their conclusions contradict each other, so at most, only one of them can be true.
I think, I truly do think, I guess I am calling everyone wrong. It's just, I think that there is one God. I think that all of those experiences, if they're I experienced something true, like something undeniable.
Yeah, I understand what you think
nearby.
about it. I'm saying, how do we determine what is true?
I think.
What is the process when someone, like, think about the scenario that I just described. I've got 5 people standing in front of me, all telling me about personal experiences that they've had, giving me their testimony, but they're all of their 5 conclusions contradict with each other, and at most, only one of them could be true, but it's also possible that none of their conclusions are true. How do I determine which, if any, of their conclusions are true?
Do you know the story of all these guys were having all these idols, and then dude asks to, what is it, for if my God is here, he asks him to come out. And he
Yeah, this just sounds like more testimony. So what I'm asking for is
testimony. It's straight from it's from the Bible.
Yeah, so it's just testimony. It's a claim, and I'm not looking for claims. I'm asking you to engage in the scenario that I've described. I've got 5 people in front of me. They're all giving me testimony. How do I determine which of them, if any, are have the correct conclusion?
Okay, then I can easily answer that with a simple question towards you. do you seriously think that we're not held accountable for anything?
Okay, so you don't want to engage in the conversation?
Dude, answer the question.
No, because it's a dodge. You're trying to get out of the conversation by changing the topic. You've been trying to pivot this entire time, R. R, you've been trying to pivot this entire time. We're still on the topic that you brought up. If I've got those 5 people in front of me, how do I determine which of their conclusions is true, if any of them are? If you can't answer that question, if the next thing you say is anything other than a direct answer to that question, I will take that as, you know, you just don't have the cojones to admit that you need to concede. Because if you don't need to concede, then you can just answer the question.
How is that supposed to be proven?
Okay. Thank you for the concession,
what
R.
are you
I know
looking
it's
for?
scary to admit when you realize that you're wrong, but I appreciate the concession. Thank you.
Bro, I have.
I'm trying to pivot. Yeah, R clearly did not have the boots for this hike. Unfortunately. Like, what the fuck is going on with the likes tonight? Oh, Susie, people keep saying that. Do I need to, like, take a recording of my voice and then play it along with some Neil deGrasse Tyson? Because I don't hear it. Yeah, are the numbers glitching both sides? Is that what's happening? Okay, maybe there's a bug on TikTok, I guess. Okay. So the numbers are glitching. Well, hey, fair enough. Okay, because I was gonna say, like, you know, I get so it has a magic ejaculator. So funny. I mean, because I'm happy if, like, well, shit, I'm happy if I get to 10 likes. Fucking 5 of them, I'm happy with that. But, like, you know, when we get to like 15,000, 20, hey, fucking little guy. Thank you, Bradley Cooper. Oh, the viewer count keeps jumping around. I guess I haven't been paying attention to that. The other thing that I hear is people tell me I sound like Seth Rogen. Okay. All right. So, I currently don't have anybody requesting. In my personal humble opinion, I think Seth the Grass Rogar. Why would you do this to me, Poopman Jones? Why would you do this to me? That's gonna be in my head now. Yeah, I think that I'm, to be honest with you guys, like, typically I go till 10 p.m. my time. But I've been going for 2 hours, which is typically what I normally do. I was thinking about going longer tonight. But I think I may, because I could reset, but, like, if TikTok is glitching, I don't know that I really want to deal with it. And I feel like we actually did get to have some decent conversations tonight. I feel like we had Bricked Brian from earlier. I thought we had we're having a good conversation, and then he got booted because he was smoking. And then well, TikTok, you know, made me boot him because he was smoking. I thought we were mainly having a decent conversation with Jesse and Nick. Both of them kind of, like, stopped being good faith when it got tough. But then Nashawn and Brian made tonight for me. In my, you know, from my perspective, those two conversations are exactly what I've been trying to do. Or, like, why I want to have these conversations, why I want to do these streams. People buying Plusser devices. I don't know what that is, Robinette. I'm assuming you're saying that it's some, like, like fake, like you're buying likes or you're buying views or something. I assume you're talking about something like that. But anyway, I do appreciate, like, all the support. Thank you so much, everybody. I am going to probably just go ahead and end the stream here. But Yeah, Philo Dragon. Even if you had something like that, it wouldn't be going that crazy, but I have no idea. Anyway. Stop getting distracted. Thank you, everybody, so much for the support. Oh, I got to run through them really quick because I've gotten so much fucking support, and I just need to say thank you to everybody. Obviously, Lupine, Poopman Jones, Bear, Splice, Evan Patterson, Bradley Cooper, SciTech Nature, Poopman Jones, Mikey, Lupine, Poopman Jones, Mr. Chungus, Saintly, Derby, Bobby Hill, Bradley N, Bradley Cooper, 3 Pips, Kink Against the Machine, Apostate, JX, everybody, thank you so much. I'm sure that I missed some, and I apologize. It's not intended, but I just thank you so much. And just end the live off with a cowboy hat. But no, I do appreciate it. As I say at the end of all my lives, remember, everybody, that tomorrow is not guaranteed. So, that was Nobody on Fire. Thank you, nobody. Anyway, remember, tomorrow is not guaranteed. You don't know how many opportunities you're going to have left to let your family and friends